Hey again, everyone. Welcome back to another installment of Speaking of Sundara, where I talk about Sundara Dawn of a New Age, my fantasy RPG setting. It's been a hell of a month so far in 2023, hasn't it? For folks who managed to avoid the whole kerfuffle regarding the open game license, congratulations. I would like to know how you got to Mars and how things are going out there. For the few of you who don't know what I'm talking about, roughly for the past month, there's been a huge thing in RPG circles, as Wizards of the Coast, at the behest of Hasbro, has attempted to essentially revoke a peace treaty they put out 23 years ago for designers to allow them to use the rules and language of D&D. This led to a very large boycott, a lot of anger, tens of thousands of subscriptions to D&D beyond just getting cut. And eventually the company listened and decided, you know what, we're just going to leave all of that in place and we're going to go a step further. We're going to take large portions of the D&D rules and we're going to put them under a Creative Commons license. So, yay, victory for all of us, right? Yes and no, and that's why I wanted to make this video today. Because when this whole OGL debacle got started, there was a leak that came out and lots of designers basically put a hold on projects they were working on that they weren't sure whether or not they'd be affected by the proposed changes. Turns out they won't be, yay, but the issue is that even if legally nothing has changed, the old open gaming license is still in effect, it's still usable, hopefully that's going to continue to be the case forever, as it was originally intended. The problem is that trust is gone at this point of, even though after trying to get rid of it, Wizards said now they're not going to, none of us are really certain if that's now we're not going to forever, now we're not going to for another few years until you've forgotten, or now we're not going to until 10 years from now when we get new management and try it again. But the trust is gone not just with designers, but also with the players. There's a lot of folks who, during this time period, decided, well, we're not playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition anymore. And if you've ever met hardcore 5th edition players, you know how amazing that is. It's probably the most impressive feat that Wizards has ever pulled off of getting people to play something other than 5th ed. But the reason that I and so many other designers ported or made content specifically for 5th edition is it was the dominant game. It was the game everybody was playing. Now that might not be the case. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of folks who are going to trickle back to it and who are eventually going to at least circle back around, give it another try for, just sake of history. But there's a lot of folks who've tried new games in the interim and they might not be coming back. And that's something I wanted to reach out to the audience about. If you watch this channel, chances are you at least want to see Sundara continue on as a setting. You want to see more stuff come out for it. You want to see what else is going to be uncovered as we explore the setting. And for that, I need to know, what games are you all playing? What do you want to see it show up in? Because for folks who haven't gotten copies yet, maybe this is the first time you've come across it, traditionally, for the past 2 years, Sundara has been released in both Pathfinder Classic, as I prefer to call it, and D&D 5th edition. And those have been pretty successful. Folks seem to respond well to them. I, at the very least, want to continue the Pathfinder Classic versions, because that's how the setting was originally conceived. I'm more than willing to keep doing 5th edition ports if it turns out that folks are willing to keep picking those up and keep playing that edition, now that the dust has kind of settled. But let me know from you guys, what do you see being more popular going forward? For example, some folks have suggested that Sundara should just have system neutral splat books, I suppose. It's going to be hard for some of them, but as far as just cities, towns, plots, that's easy enough to do without mechanics if that's a thing that folks would want, and it would allow them to play in more games without having to do mental math to calculate things. Some suggestions have been made for Savage Worlds, since it has a very friendly licensing requirement, and I feel that could be done if Galarian can be put in it, so can Sundara. There's been some folks who wanted to know whether or not there's going to be OSR compatible rules, and that would take some doing. I'm not an OSR player myself, but I know some folks who might want to take up the job if that's something that folks really want to see. There's talk about Cobalt Press's new Black Flag project, which I'm very excited about. And I can't say right now whether or not that would work with the system the way it's conceived or the setting. but I'm definitely signing up for the playtest. So if folks want to hear about that, I suggest you definitely playtest those rules, see if it's something you'd be interested in. And there's, of course, the huge trove of people who have moved over to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which I have explicitly not done anything with, but needs be when the devil drives. If that's the game that folks are moving to, then I suppose that's the game I should start translating things for. But in addition to what system folks want to see Sundara content either converted to or made for in the future, there's also the question of what kind of products do folks want to see for the setting. I had a lot of stuff planned, but I had to throw on the brakes for about a month, so it's given me some time to think and to plot and to come up with new ideas. And again, what do folks want to see? Do you want to see the cities books expanded and made grander, I suppose? Do you want to see some more dwarven cities? Do you want to see some cities that all of the other species that I've talked about and have showed up, whether it's elves or gnomes or halflings? Would you like to see just general plot hooks that folks could come across while wandering through the city, whether it's wanting to get people involved in side quests or just do things aside from whatever the main plot is? If you want to level grind, if you want to just let people explore, if you want to do a sandbox game but you're not entirely sure where folks need to go. Do you want to see splat books for additional species? Minotaurs and gargoyles have both been suggested if that's something folks would like to play as in Sundara going forward. There's even additional organizations. I've come out with famed mercenary companies and cults, but I had some things planned for guilds and various other organizations that could sort of fill out the setting and give folks access to not better stuff, but more interesting aspects and tie them more organically to the setting going forward. And all of that's on the table. At the moment, I very much want to see Sundara go on. I want to see more folks try it out. I want to see everyone have fun with it. But at the same time, I don't want to make content for a world that doesn't exist anymore, and I want to make sure that I'm giving players what they want. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what it is you want. If you have friends that you think would like to try out Sundara, send them this video and maybe have them watch some of the others, see if it really sparks their interest. But until next time, happy gaming, everyone.